Hey guys, we're gonna look in. You know, I mentioned in a previous video that they don't want you to remember a successful ritual. The subject, I guess we'll call it, going through it won't remember. Um, but looking back, I noticed some patterns. There were some things that would happen on lodge night at home first before going to the lodge. Usually mom and dad would fight. There'd be a really big argument, a real big one, worse than normal. And dad would end up leaving, and I would go with him. I liked spending time with my dad, you know, as most little boys do. And typically, you know, he would take me to the movies. We would go to the movies. That's how you would clear the air, right? And as a little boy, you know, I usually didn't make it through the movie. Right? I fell asleep not long after it started. These usually would be in the evening time when we'd go. And a lot of times I would just remember, you know, at that point, you know, waking up in the car ride home, you know, following the lights. And but sometimes I would wake up in kind of like a paralysis state. You know, I mentioned that earlier, how you can wake up in sleep paralysis. And oftentimes, you know, sometimes I'd wake up and I would notice fixated parts of the rooms. A lot of times it'd be like the floor or like a wall. And I could hear what was going on around me, but I couldn't really move. And sometimes I'd wake up and I'd hear things like a roll call with certain names spoken in, like, you know, from a diaphragm. You know, certain things like Lucifuge and Belial, Beelzebub. Sometimes you wake up and hear things like screams. Scary. And then sometimes I'd wake up and hear things like a Tyler and you know, keeping Master Mason's secrets, something like that. And this one I'm going to go into that I remember more of. This is probably the more graphic, traumatic one that I remember. And I remember it being described as boy in a box. Anyway. And I'm just going to recall it how I remember. Come to. And I'm standing at the front of this, like, sanctuary. This was at a place in Spokane. It was either like at an Oddfellows place or maybe one of the lodges that looked kind of like a a big scary church, but I'm at the front, and I'm standing at this box. We're already dressed. Everybody's already dressed up, robes. I'm in a robe. Other kids are there, they're in robes. And in the typical magical ritual, there's scripts. People say a script. And somewhere along the lines, I'm instructed to get in the box. This box is like a coffin, a child-sized coffin. And when I get in the box is full of spiders and snakes, and they shut the box. And I freak out in the box because it's really cramped, and there's spiders and snakes in the box, and they're moving, and I can feel them. I freak out as long as I can. And eventually, I hear, and you can feel the thud. Like that somebody buried the box. I'm still freaking out. Eventually, I calm down. But it's more like I give up. Like it's kind of like I accept this fate. And a weird thing happens. You see yourself over, like a bird's eye view over you, over the box. And at that point, I remember hearing something along the lines is like, "Where's the boy? The boy's dead. The little boy's in the box. Little boy, would you like out the box?" I don't say anything. And they let you out the box. And then when they let you out the box, you feel like you're floating. Like, because at this point you can see like your normal vision, but I felt like I was floating, I was rising, I was getting bigger. And then at that point, it turns into absolute chaos in the room. There are screams, yelling, violence, chaos. And then someone grabs me, bends me over, and they smack shit in your face. At a certain point, everything stops. They put you in a towel. A lot of times that's usually the ending procedure. They wrap you up in a towel. And at some point they give you a bath. And go home. And the next day I wake up. I get out of bed. And my mom comes into the room. And she throws a green rubber snake right at my feet. I flip out. And I relive and revision everything from the night before. And I scream. I'm screaming. I'm crying. Mom calls Dad, and she goes, "We got trauma." "Oh, we got trauma." "I don't know what you guys did, but we got trauma." My cousin, the one that did the same stuff I did, but for that side of the family, she's older than me, a few years older than me. And I was always told not to listen to things that she says. She was diagnosed with mental illness at a young age. And I was told to not, that she lied or that she would just say crazy things. And sometimes she would say bizarre things. She would say things how, like, they would mutilate and kill animals in front of her in a barn at night. Just crazy things. And, I was told that not to believe any of it. That she was crazy. But when I look back of it, if you witness something traumatic like that, I don't know how that wouldn't affect you. Anyway, guys, have a good day.